Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of my top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. We are officially entering week 9 of the NFL season. The trade deadline passed today. It was there's not absolutely, it was factual, the busiest trade deadline ever with 10 trades. There's players all over the place. Nobody really affected my list I put together earlier today. There was a name I thought I was going to mention, but then certain trades happened, so I ended up didn't end up deciding not to add that name to my list. As always, just in case we have any first-time listeners, what you get from me in this first segment: my top quarterback ad of the week, running back ad of the week, wide receiver ad, tight end ad, and my top flex ad of the week. So let's go ahead, dive right in with the quarterbacks like I always do. And as always, remember these names, they have to have at least 50% roster availability on Yahoo. So that means there's a good chance that these guys are out there available in your leagues. And also, it's Buypocalypse. It's actually the worst bye week of the season with 6 teams on a bye. So some of you might be scrambling to find some names to fill on to your lineup this week. So let's see if I can help you out right here. My top quarterback out of the week, I am going to go with Justin Fields. The kid has been playing really good football as of late. They're tailoring the offense to suit his skill set finally. I know he even admitted it that they're taking things from the Ravens and Lamar Jackson and applying it into that Bears offense. And I like Justin Fields this week. This past weekend, though, he had 151 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown. He's available in 59% of the leagues. And something that happened during the trade deadline today is the Bears did trade for Chase Claypool. So now Fields has Claypool, he has Mooney, he has Komet, he has David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert in the backfield. So he's starting to get a little bit better weapons surrounding him, and like I said, they're tailoring the offense around him. Where, man, Justin Fields might be a guy or might be a quarterback that not only you can pick up off the waivers and play this week, you might end up deciding to keep him going forward if he continues to put up this type of production that he's been doing lately. Now, when you look at this week, he's got a good matchup. He's going against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have allowed the 7th most points per game against quarterbacks this year. They're giving up 19.6 points per game. And one other thing that makes me like Justin as well going forward, and at least this week too, is the Bears, they traded away Roquan Smith and they traded away Robert Quinn. So their defense has been decimated. So it's going to be an easier defenses for the opponents to put up points. So I can see Justin always having to throw, always having to run, and that just means more fantasy production for your lineup. Moving into my running back out of the week, it's going to be Dontrell Hilliard. He's available in 88% of the leagues. There might be some of you out there wondering who a Dontrell Hilliard is. For those that don't know, he is the Titans' backup running back. This past week, he had 8 rushes, 83 yards, a reception, and 12 yards on a target. The Titans are facing the Kansas City. Now, here's the thing with Hilliard. You're not going to play him, okay? So I know we're dealing with Buypocalypse, but maybe if you drafted, the kind of smartly, some people do draft around bye weeks, or if you're like me where I'm not really dealing with that many buys, and you need some running back depth, Hilliard's a name I would add. Now, if you are a fantasy football manager of Derrick Henry, you should go pick up Dontrell Hilliard, because one thing you got to balance over this next month is with your rosters is you not only have to deal with making sure you have people on your bench that can help you deal with the bye weeks as those come to an end, but when you have players like Derrick Henry, for example, a Dalvin Cook, one of these upper echelon running backs, you got to make sure you have their their handcuff. Because if you finally get to the playoffs, imagine you're a Derrick Henry manager. Now, he stays healthy at the back end of the year, right? But let's just say worst case scenario, you're a Derrick Henry manager. He gets you all the way to the playoffs, and then right before the playoffs, I don't know, he pulls a hamstring. And then you're out Derrick Henry, and then maybe somebody else pick up Hilliard, or then you have to compete to pick up Hilliard off of the waiver market. You might as well get him now so you can put yourself in a best case scenario if that goes forward. So Hilliard's a name I wanted to mention this week, not only because he showed some production, he is the handcuff to Derrick Henry. My wide receiver ad of the week, I'm going with Rondale Moore. The Cardinals wide receiver. He's available in 65% of the leagues. Now, despite with DeAndre Hopkins being back in the lineup, he's still getting some production as of late. This past weekend, he had 7 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown on 8 targets. And what I like about Rondell is he can take handoffs as well. He had 2 rushes for 12 yards. So if you count the targets, that's at least 10 times that the Cardinals tried to get the ball into his hands. And then we don't know when Marquise Brown will be back. Robbie Anderson hasn't made that immediate impact. I think I saw he had maybe 10 snaps in the past game. So Rondell Moore is going to be basically the number 2 option in this passing attack behind DeAndre Hopkins. Now, Zach Ertz will have his games. But when you look at what Rondell has done recently or throughout the 5 games because he missed the first, I want to say 3 weeks, due to an injury, 2 to 3 weeks, and then he's kind of been slowly working back into the lineup. He's played 5 games this season. In 3 out of the 5 games that he's played in, he's received at least 8+ targets. Now, they are facing the Seahawks this weekend. I'll be honest with you, when you look at the fantasy production, they are allowing only 16.4 points per game to wide receivers this year. It's the 3rd fewest in the NFL. So as far as fantasy, maybe you kind of don't consider playing him this week. But I'll be honest with you, I have him in a league, and I think I'm going to line him up this week because when they last faced the Seattle Seahawks, he had 10 targets in that game, right? So even though the matchup might be tough, you could definitely consider playing him, I think, this week because he's been getting those type of targets you want to see. But if you need wide receiver help, you should definitely still go get him off the waivers and at least get him on your bench this week. My tight end ad of the week. This is a guy I think I've told you guys to add, and I want to say at least once, maybe twice over this past month. And it's just because he's getting what you want to see out of your tight end, and that is targets. It's Evan Ingram. He's available in 57% of the leagues. This past weekend, he had 4 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. When you look at the targets, he's gotten at least a minimum of 6 targets the last 4 games. I would like to see that to be the 7 to 9 range, like I always preach about for tight ends. But man, you got with how unlucky it is to deal with most tight ends in fantasy football. When they're getting at least 6 targets, that gives you an opportunity to get some at least up that potential touchdown, right? Now, he's got a juicy matchup too this week. They are going against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are giving up 11 points per game to tight ends this year. That is the 3rd most in the NFL. So if you're looking for some tight end help this week, I know like George Kittle is one of the tight ends that are on a bye. If Evan Ingram's go out there, definitely go grab him. My flex ad of the week, I can tell you, I've been doing this for a while. It's very rare I tell you guys to add 2 different tight ends in a week. I don't really like to talk about the position, but this was one I just could not ignore. The rookie tight end for Baltimore, he's available in 95% of leagues. When we saw that Mark Andrews left that game against the Bucs, Isaiah Likely did get a lot of production. So here's the thing, if Andrews ever gets hurt, we know that Likely is going to get all the targets that you want in your fantasy tight end. So if you're a Mark Andrews manager, I would be trying to go get Isaiah Likely right now as his handcuff as Andrews works his way to being back to healthy. Now, they got the Saints on Monday night. Last I remember, I think Harbaugh said that they do expect that Andrews will be back. But you don't know. Like, he was hurt, banged up entering that matchup. He got hurt right away. I mean, I don't know, not necessarily right away, but he got hurt in that first half and he never came back. Could that happen again, right? So that makes me wonder if you likely should not only be picked up for that reason, but another reason too is Baltimore's leading wide receiver, Rashad Bateman. He's hurt right now, and the expectation is he's going to miss multiple weeks. I thought the Ravens should go trade for a wide receiver. Because obviously if you're missing Rashad Bateman, all you have is Devin Duvernay and a bunch of just guys, Jags at this point. So I thought they should have went and got a wide receiver. They didn't. They're going to be missing Bateman. Andrews is banged up. So even if Andrews plays, I think likely he's going to have a nice little role in this offense. Now, I think it would be something you want to be maybe patient on before you play him. And especially maybe this week because they are going against the Saints. The Saints have only allowed 3.1 points per game to the tight ends. But the reason why I'm bringing this guy up is not only because I think he's a good handcuff for Mark Andrews, but if Bateman's going to miss multiple weeks, I can see Andrews and Likely leading in targets in this offense. So that's why I definitely think he's worth an add to your roster. So again, my quarterback out of the week, Justin Fields. My running back out of the week, Dontrell Hilliard. My wide receiver out of the week, Rondale Moore. My tight end out of the week is Evan Ingram, and my flex out of the week is Isaiah Likely. Moving into my streamable defenses, just like the players I just talked about, these defenses have to have at least 50% roster availability. Those are per Yahoo. So let's go ahead and knock this list down. My top added Bengals. My top streamable defense is the Bengals defense. They are going against the Panthers. So they're available in 59% of the leagues. Listen, I know the Panthers have been this nice little kind of feel-good story since Matt Rule got fired. You know, they beat the Bucs. They had the epic game against the Falcons last week, but they are still the Panthers. They are still a team that fired their coach. So at some point in this season, all this effort that they're giving right now, yeah, they're going to be players are putting up effort, but then those are also going to be those players that are looking towards the offseason and planning out their trips. So usually when that happens, the lack of preparation's there. So that's when I am always going to be able to bet on a team like the Panthers that I can stream my defense against. You know, the Bengals, they still got Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard up front, Logan Wilson in the middle, Jesse Bates. They still got guys on that defense that can make some plays and create some turnovers. My number 2 streamable defense of this week, I'm going with the Chargers against the Falcons. The Chargers are available in 79% of the leagues. They're going against that Falcons offense, which has been a mixed bag. You know, some games they're putting up some points, and then sometimes they are struggling there. And then I just don't necessarily love their offense. I can see the Chargers with like Khalil Mack getting after Marcus Mariota, you know, getting those sacks, maybe forcing those turnovers. You know, they still got Derwin James on the back end, Asante Samuel Jr. So yeah, even though those Chargers might be missing some guys like Joey Bosa, they still have enough pieces where they can create turnovers and sacks, and that's all you're kind of looking at out of your streamable defenses. And especially when they're going against the offense with Marcus Mariota at the quarterback position, doesn't necessarily scare me, and I know that there could be a potential turnover at any point. My number 3 streamable defense, I'm going with the Dolphins against the Bears. The Dolphins are available in 56% of the leagues. This is just going because you know the Bears' offense has improved, but we could still get those turnovers off of Justin Fields. And then the Dolphins just traded for Bradley Chubb today. Now, I don't know if Bradley Chubb's going to come over and, you know, play 100% of the defensive snaps, but I can tell you that they're going to put him on the field on passing down situations with Jalen Phillips on the opposite side, and those bookend edge rushers can get that pressure, and they're still going against a weak Chicago Bears offensive line. The Chicago Bears might have added Chase Claypool, but they still have a porous offensive line. So that can lead to those sacks. That's when you get that pressure on Justin. Sometimes that's when you can get those turnovers off of him. And you know, with Xavier Howard in the back end, Javon Holland, those are also guys I trust as guys that can create plays and maybe get that pick for you when you stream the Dolphins defense. So if they're out there, that's an option for you. My number 4 streamable defense, I am going to go with the Vikings against those Commanders. The Vikings are available in 78% of the leagues. Vikings defense, it doesn't get as much credit, but they have been playing really good. They created those 3 turnovers last week against the Arizona Cardinals. They're going against the Commanders offense, which, you know, it's not the greatest thing in the world. I know Taylor Heineke and they got my Colts last week, but he still, like, he not only he threw an interception in that game. There was like 2 passes that the Colts should have picked off in that game, and they just didn't get it. But I think the Vikings can take advantage of those type of opportunities. I don't really love the Commanders' offensive line, so I can see Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter getting after him. They got Eric Kendricks in the middle of the defense, Patrick Peterson, Harrison Smith. That Vikings defense got some ball hawks back there, so I think that one could end up being a sneaky streaming defense for you this week. My other one, I'm going with the Packers against the Lions. The Packers are available in about 53% of the leagues. Man, I didn't know how I could trust this one because the Packers defense, it has been really disappointing this year. But still have the Lions too, right? Everybody thought they would have a better record. The Lions just traded T.J. Hawkinson to the Vikings today, which is a wild trade. So yeah, they don't have their tight end. Dan Campbell said DeAndre Swift is not 100% himself, so that's another limited playmaker of theirs. So, and then anytime you talk about Jared Goff, if you guys have been paying attention to me all year round, or for the last 2 years, really, or 2 or 3 years with Jared Goff, I'm always saying I'm willing to stream a defense against him because that guy will, at some point, he's going to throw an interception or he's going to fumble the ball. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. As much as I was talking crap on that Packers defense, they still got Rashawn Gary, a guy that can get after the quarterback. We'll just have to see if Devondre Campbell, he left that last game hurt, so I'm not sure if he's going to play, but he's still a good linebacker. Got Jair Alexander in the back end. So, and what they got, I think they picked off Josh Allen at least twice. I want to say 3 times the other night. So, and they're going against Jared Goff this time. So I think the Packers defense, even though they've been slightly disappointing, I think they'd be worth a stream this week. So again, if you're looking for defenses to stream this week, I look at the Bengals against the Panthers, Chargers against the Falcons, Dolphins against the Bears, Vikings against the Commanders, and the Packers against the Lions. So yeah, that is today's top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses for Week 9. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to hit up me in my comments, slide into a DM on one of my socials, or you can always hit me up with a text if you got my number. If you guys enjoyed today's video, as always, hit the like button. Make sure you have subscribed to my channel so you guys know when any type of content's uploaded to it. And then, as always, go tell a friend. I'll check you guys on, you guys will see me on Thursday morning when I give you guys my top starts and sits for the week. So I'll see you then. Enjoy your night or day whenever you're watching this. Peace out.